A Lakers signing is incoming as we have a massive free agency update. And as we are now less than 24 hours away from free agency officially opening, we have a bombshell report surrounding one particular player. We're going to break down exactly who that is and discuss what this means going forward as something big is brewing for Rob Pelinka. But before we get into it all, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel. It means a lot to Hunter and myself. Hunter, a lot to go over today. There is some craziness that went down just an hour or so ago here and completely unexpected and not necessarily who the player is, but what happened surrounding this player? I had a video covering it a couple weeks ago, and I know most of you guys watching probably don't want him, and Lakers fans in general don't want him. But folks, it's now clearer than ever. A very obvious Lakers target here. As you can see, breaking news, DeAndre Ayton is finalizing a buyout with the Trailblazers to become a free agent, and he is now a sudden addition to the free agent market. This gives Ayton, a former #1 overall pick who went to the finals with the Suns, the chance to receive a fresh opportunity as Trailblazers build around their depth of young centers. So, Hunter, this is kind of out of nowhere. I mean, we spoke about a trade and how the Blazers wanted a first-round pick at times. See what the Blazers wanted from the Lakers, what they give up. At this point now, if they want him, they can sign him. The question, of course, remains how much is he going to command? But if it's like the minimum or even not a lot of money here, it's a very intriguing piece now that you don't have to give up assets, despite I think a lot of people not loving some aspects of DeAndre Ayton's game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest holdup with DeAndre Ayton and getting him to Los Angeles prior to this news was giving up probably an overpay for a guy who does have some question marks, right? I mean, it's the energy concerns. Does he give his 100% effort every night? But the talent's there. Like, this guy went first overall for a reason, right? Ahead of Luka Doncic, ironically, who he could potentially be teammates with here, because he's got the size, he's muscular. He's strong. He's physical. Has a nice jump shot. He can score in the paint. Lob threat. Athletic. Mobile on his feet. Like, this is a good basketball player. When he was at his best with the Phoenix Suns, it's when Chris Paul was there. And what is Chris Paul known for, right? It's his passing, right? He's one of the greatest passers of all time and one of the greatest pick and roll passers of all time. And Aiden was able to feast with a guy like him. Well, the Lakers have their version of CP3, if you will, in Luka Doncic. And, Austin Reaves and LeBron James, they know how to run a pick and roll too. So this is definitely would be an offense where I think Ayton could potentially thrive in with the Lakers. He's going to get a lot of opportunities. I like that he's a center that the Lakers can target who can actually score. Like, he's got some post moves. He's got some nice touch in the paint. He's got the, like that 15, 18-foot jumper, toward the top of the key at those elbows. So he does have some offensive versatility. Defensively has the tools. Hasn't always consistently put it all together, but perhaps in a winning environment like the Lakers, like he showed with the Phoenix Suns when they were at their peak and competing for an NBA championship. Perhaps that is what DeAndre Ayton needs. Perhaps Luka and this roster can bring the best out of him. And for a much cheaper price, potentially, this is definitely someone the Lakers should definitely be looking towards right now.
Yeah, and obviously, like you mentioned, if it was a trade, it then becomes more complicated because there's downsides of his game. There's some risk there. You look here, trade market for him must have really been non-existent. Very clearly the case. Otherwise, they obviously would have tried to move on from him. And he is free to sign with any team despite earning more than $14 million next year. The waiver restriction for second apron teams only applies during the regular season. He had $35.6 million left on an expiring contract. And you made an interesting point about, Luka Doncic, LeBron. Who knows what the future for LeBron holds? We assume he's going to play for the Lakers next year. But even if it's, just Luka Doncic, whatever ends up being, he will thrive, I think, if he comes over to LA under Luka Doncic. And I saw some Suns fans actually tweeting and saying that I hope he doesn't go to LA because they know how good he can be with a point guard like Chris Paul, and they know how good he has to have the right environment around him. Did he have that in Portland? No, he didn't have a facilitating point guard to help him. Now, if you look at also, apparently, this is kind of blowing up as of late, that DeAndre Ayton's agent is Bill Duffy, who also presents Luka Doncic. You can fact check that in the comment section. I just saw that and I wanted to include it. You can double check that it's right and things like that, but I believe it is, which also is very intriguing as well here. I think it makes just a ton of sense. Now, let's look into his stats a little bit. Obviously, you mentioned he was a first overall pick, same draft as Luka Doncic. He's still young. He's going to be entering his 27th season, coming off of a bit of a down year, but overall, you look at the seasons when he played alongside like Chris Paul and had some decent structure there and winning Phoenix teams. They didn't win a championship, but they, were very good. You can see 18 points a game, 17 points a game. He's a double-double machine, and something that, for all the players we're talking about, Nick Claxton, Walker Kessler, things like that are going to require a lot of assets. If the Lakers think they can turn around DeAndre Ayton's defensive game, which is by far the biggest concern of his game, I think the offense is always there, and I'd argue he has a better offensive ceiling than Claxton, Kessler, all the guys they've been talking about. It's the defense that's the problem. If they can switch that and find a way to turn that up, he could end up being one of the higher ceiling centers that they can acquire. And it's not even acquire, it's just sign at this point, which is the big shocking turn here.
Yeah, I guess the question is too, what is DeAndre Ayton? What does he want, right? Does he want to go to a team where he can compete for a championship like the Lakers? There would be other suitors as well that would make sense for DeAndre Ayton. Or is he going to go to a team that can just offer him the most money, right? He's 26 years old. He's not an older guy. He's not like he's necessarily ring chasing at this point. I don't know. But also, too, it depends what the buyout is, too, because, again, Portland's going to owe him money regardless. So for him, maybe he takes a flyer year with the Los Angeles Lakers or another team and goes, hey, this is going to be my prove it year. I think that's probably the best case scenario for the Lakers. They sign him cheap. He has a really good year. Ideally, they win a championship out of it. And then, either he's great for the Lakers and he can resign and, we found our future center. Or he's like, maybe this isn't the guy. We'll move on from him. But for the Lakers, looking at some of their free agent options, trading aside, a guy like Brook Lopez, he's 37. He's not the same player. Clint Capella is not what he once was either. I mean, Al Horford, Luke Cornet is not really going to excite you. I don't really know. But, DeAndre Ayton has much higher upside than all those guys. He's younger. I'd argue probably a better player than all those guys at this point, right? This is probably, from a pure signing perspective, the best case scenario the Lakers can get. As obviously they need to fill that center position, and you can also find potentially a backup as well. Like if you pair Brook Lopez or Clint Capella as a backup, that sounds a lot better than them as a starter in the year 2025, in my opinion. And then maybe the Lakers can make a move for a wing like an Andrew Wiggins, who they've been linked to for a while. Perhaps that is, the move that potentially puts the Lakers on top, because, I don't think they're just a center away. I think they're a center and some depth away from really having a nice complete roster here.
Yeah, and also Daron Sharp, probably a full video covering him. He's available as well. Again, he's more of a backup big, so if you can go ahead and get a guy like DeAndre Ayton, maybe you can fix some of his shortcomings with backup big. And looking at the big picture here before I wrap up, I mean, there's a lot of work to do. Now, of course, they have Dorian Finney-Smith, who declined his player option. They recently, obviously, there's a bunch of Jordan Goodwin. They picked up his. The projected salary is $192, extension eligible. We all assume, and reports have started to come out, Luka's going to get extended here soon. But there's a lot of free agents that are leaving, none of which are super impactful. Jackson Hayes, I would assume he's gone. Dorian Finney-Smith, that's a very interesting one, which is a conversation for another video here. But Hunter, the C is still wide open, so they need to go ahead and make a move here. And I'm also curious, they have Adu Thiero as well. Of course, the recent pick. He's probably going to factor in at some point. Maybe it's not this year, but maybe it even is with their lack of forward depth there. But the big thing is the reserves. If they make any trade for a center, you're probably going to have to give up, Gabe Vincent for salary and Dalton Knecht for an asset. That depletes your bench a little bit. At least with DeAndre Ayton, it would not have to do that. And it's going to be interesting to see how they fill out the rest of this team.
Yeah, and I guess to quickly go on Thiero's point, I don't know, maybe they, it was reported that, they had a first round grade on him, right? They gave up, millions of dollars and, moved up 19 spots just to draft him. So maybe this is someone they see could potentially chip in a little bit right away, at least on the defensive end. The offensive game would have to come along a lot, I think, for him to kind of rely on him. But, and I'm very curious to see how he is in the summer league. We'll definitely cover that. But, Lakers, they have a lot of avenues they can go, right? They are a team that has not a lot of capital to move, but also needs to get some good players in return. So this has to be a masterclass season from Rob Pelinka, off season for Rob Pelinka, to really kind of figure out the salary cap, how to bring in the most amount of talent with still maintaining some of your future assets as well. You got the LeBron questions, you got the Dorian Finney-Smith questions. It's going to be a very busy handful of days here, but we promise you guys we'll keep you up to date, because there's going to be a lot going around with the Lakers, and free agency hasn't even technically started yet.
Yeah, it all starts very soon. We'll keep you up to date. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let us know down below. Are you interested in DeAndre Ayton, or do you think they should pursue somebody else?